Okay, I'm acting chair tonight, so welcome to the Park and Rec Commission regular meeting of it says September 25th, so we should amend the agenda. The time is 6:01 p.m. Becky, can you do roll call, please?
Yeah, Chair Cabrales is absent today. Commissioner Emerson,
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Here.
Commissioner Pasternak.
Here.
And Commissioner Sandoval is also absent. All right, thank you. And Ariel, hang on just one moment. Let me just double check that you have the correct script. It looks like you do, except for the minutes will be from September 25th.
But we didn't have that meeting, right?
Correct.
Oh, you're correct. You're right.
I think the minutes are.
So everything is right except for the date. So we're good to go.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call agenda item number 1, approval of the regular meeting minutes. Are there any questions from or answers from committee members to staff? None.
To approve.
All right. Commissioner Pasternak moves to approve. Second. All right, we have a second.
All right. Okay, Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
and Commissioner Pasternak.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've opened time for public expression. The public is welcome to address the commission at this time on matters not listed on the agenda that are within its jurisdiction. Comments may be no longer than 3 minutes and should be respectful to the community. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to share public comment? And to be clear, these are public comments on items not on the agenda, right? And I think, are you guys here for agenda item? Yes. Okay. Anyone online, Becky, of the public?
No, we do not.
All right, then we'll go ahead and close public comment. And move on.
Done. You can.
We have a special presentation tonight of the Terra Community Center and Park Enhancement Plan update. And I'll pass it over to staff.
Kathy, do you want to take me or let me see? I'm happy to.
You did this, you did such a good job the last couple of sessions.
All right, well, thank you everyone for being here. We've got several folks here with our consultant team that are assisting with this plan, really helping the city out. With one individual person, I'll let you introduce yourself in a moment. And then we have several folks that are joining us virtually on the screen here. So I'll turn it over to them in just a minute. And if either of you want to turn your chairs around to watch the screen when we go through the presentation, you're more than welcome to make yourselves comfortable. But my name is Craig Beremy. I'm one of the city's assistant library and recreation directors. We're really excited about this plan because this is going to help us create a roadmap for the future of Terra Linda Park and Community Center. And I think just kind of lay the framework of what does that mean? This is an enhancement plan project. This is not intended to come up with a specific set of construction documents and drawings that we're planning to build in the next couple of years. Right? This is a longer term planning process, and this is the initial phase of that. So I'll let the consultants really kind of describe the details of that, what that looks like, how that plan will help lead to hopefully the development of the actual physical improvements, enhancements at the site, but just to kind of frame them. And yeah, we're really excited about this. This is a really needed plan for Terra Linda Community Center and Park. We've really identified that this park really needs this attention to detail more broadly than maybe some of the other projects taking on. Excited to share the update, and I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gates and Associates, the consultant team, to do some introductions on their end and take it from there.
Great, thank you. I really appreciate you guys letting us present virtually tonight. I'm upset though, because I very much want to visit with that dog in the room that I can see. So it's like painful being here, knowing that that's there. Are you guys able to see our screen okay? Wonderful. Okay, so then Pleasure to meet you. I'm Casey Case with Gates and Associates. Also from the Gates office is Riley and Rebecca. And then sitting in the room with you is Dawn from our architecture team with Group 4. We are loving working with the city to try to put together this master plan. We have been tackling things for a little while now. So we wanted to come in tonight to give you guys an update and collect your feedback. We're at the point where we have 3 concepts that we'd love to hear your insights on. But before we jump to that, we wanted to talk to you guys about where we are now and how we got here and how things have been going, which we think is relatively well. So as you probably know, the Terra Linda Community Park is a 2.9 acre site that's nestled within a residential area. It has a playground, community center, pool, lawn, pathway, parking, all wonderful things, which are maybe making their way towards end of life. So we wanted to start paying attention to when we begin to start renovating and fixing things and seeking funding, where do we want those priorities to be? And if we can't do everything in one fell swoop, how are we making sure we're moving in the right direction, which is really the purpose of the master plan. So we want to enhance those recreation opportunities, recognize that it is a well-used park, community center, pool facility, destination for the neighborhood, and continue to improve upon that. So there's not really any idea to take away any of the opportunities that are there now. We're not looking to remove any of the programming that is doing really great. We want to enhance what's working and start to future-proof the space so that as we begin to make decisions, they're really rowing the ship in the right direction. So where we are, we started obviously at phase 1 with our project initiation. We did some outreach. So we asked people in the community through an online survey and through several pop-up events, what do you like? From that, we were able to develop a concept, which is what we're hoping to talk to you guys about this evening. That's our round 2. So those are our 2 numbers. From that point, we would move into our enhancement plan, refining a preferred alternative and really conceptualizing that into a master plan document. So this is intended to be the roadmap for the future improvements for the space, helping to understand priorities, what were the needs, why did we make the decisions we did, so that this tool is available for the near or distant future, so that again, as we have those opportunities to make improvements, we have an understanding of how they were landed upon and how those decisions were made. There will absolutely be another opportunity to take a bite at the apple because we keep things fairly high level with the master plan. It's a little bit more about site planning and prioritization. When we move into construction document efforts, that's when we can pick those particular plants and materials and talk about really the guts and interiors of the building and how things work and all of those extra finishes. So this is still a little more high level. We wanted to share this slide because we are still seeking input. We're happy to speak with you guys this evening, but we'd also love to hear from anyone who may have interest in the project. So there is this QR code we're sharing right now on the screen. You can also visit the project website, which is the link down below, to help us get more insights. What you'll see is an online survey that shows some of those concepts and asks for input on, do you like this in this portion or this one in another one, helping us to really hone in on that preferred plan. We wanted to give a recap of our round 1 of outreach to help give an understanding of why some of the changes we proposed to the park are what we think are the most appropriate for the community. So as I mentioned, we got a lot of participation in our round 1. It was very exciting to be at some of the events and movies in the park and getting to meet people. In general, we felt as though there was a lot of curiosity and excitement about the project, which was really nice to see. People were very engaged. You can see we reached out in a bunch of different ways. We had some kind of town hall opportunities as well as pop-ups at these events that we mentioned. We passed out flyers virtually and digitally. People had the opportunity to take survey online or via paper if they were more comfortable. There were some pretty high level themes that we heard, which we love it when they're not super surprising, right? So people really valued play in the park, engaging with nature, opportunities to meet with neighbors and friends and socialize and gather for events. They recognize that it needs modernization. The space feels a little dated. They want to prioritize comfort and safety. And then there was a high value on things being flexible. So dual uses of spaces and having reasonable relationships and proximities to one another so that the site felt really well used. We had some top results. So in terms of what is the most desired new amenity, so not already in the park space, number one was shade structures, followed by informal seating and outdoor games. And when people answered these, there were typically a handful of images available to inspire that answer. Top three favorite new amenities at the community center, playground, or from the survey and pop-ups, playground, lawn for informal space, trees and plants. And the top three favorite recreation programs are arts and crafts, enrichment classes, and special events. We also heard that these themes were fairly consistent throughout the process, still an emphasis on shade, picnic and barbecue, playgrounds and crafts, or playgrounds were highly desired, and the crafts and arts were some of the favorite programs. So now we'll jump into our concepts. We have three. I'm going to talk about them again at a high level and try to point out the consistencies and the differences. So to give us a little orientation, here is the pool. We're not proposing any changes within the pool area, only really for the site plan area surrounding it. In this option, we are leaving the community center building in a similar footprint as it is today. So a similar size, similar location. We're proposing that it be a renovated or new building. We would keep the existing parking as is, create a gathering space which maintains a half basketball court because there is some basketball out there now, offers a reservable picnic zone, and has this general gathering node at the entrance to the pool. We think it's nice to have a little heart there and give people a space to meet before events. It keeps it puts the playground in this general area and keeps the lawn in this corner. This playground is similar in size to what it is today in this concept. And a zoom in of the building, we would propose that there would be, and again, this is programming, so we have not designed the building, and these are not specific square footages, or the colors are not designating rooms, but we're trying to show somewhat of the space being allocated in general for these kinds of programs. So we'd like for there to be a meeting room. We'd love for the arrival space of the lobby to feel really obvious and central to when somebody parks on Delgado, that they know where to enter. We would occupy space for visual and fine arts, which could include a plethora of programs that's not specific to any particular category of recreation program. And we'd also have some support space for staff and conference rooms.
So
In our
can
yes,
jump in there.
yes, please.
So just the preliminary program was really developed from the community and the needs assessment that we heard in terms of celebrations, special event spaces, the activities, the visual and fine arts was very highly rated. And so really creating these multi-use spaces, but also spaces that can support real existing current programs that are really successful there. The meeting room is proposed to be divisible by 3 with usable walls that really function when you close them, not like the ones that are there now. And I think one of the biggest challenges is right now the building really disconnects the park to the public, right? It is a barrier. It's a physical barrier for people to connect to the park. And so when we put this lobby in for this renovated or new facility, the goal is to open up the park. So to be able to visually connect the park to the street so people know it's there, to have transparency into the activity spaces, as well as all ADA compliant and completely new infrastructure. So really taking the same square footage, the same footprint, but multiplying the functionality and the flexibility of it.
Thank you. All right, so our concept B has a larger footprint of the building. We allowed it to turn the corner of the existing parking lot. So we went from approximately 8,000 square feet more up towards 10 to 12,000 square feet. We have a landscape arrival plaza. So as opposed to the building or the primary entry being only the building, we have a landing arrival point with our outdoor plaza. Maintains still a gathering space with a proposed shade element. There's an opportunity for some outdoor games as the gather space meets with the playground. In this concept, the playground is larger. I believe this concept is our largest playground. We maintain the node for the entry and arrival point for the pool and where it really intersects with the primary activities of the park. We put the reservable picnic in this concept between the play and the lawn, trying to create a little bit of synergy over those uses, and left the lawn in the uppermost corner. And then maybe I'll just let Dawn speak to the building this time.
Similarly, really trying to respond to what the community needs, for what the community prioritized in terms of the input they gave us. So where we expanded the program from the 8,000 square feet is with that health and fitness space, right? Because fitness and activities were very important to the community. I did fail to point out in the previous plan, as well as all three plans, where we have the visual and fine arts room, we are envisioning sufficient space and adjacency to that art yard, right? So the ceramics program can include, expand from indoors to outdoors. It's a really successful program. There's room in there for a kiln room. There's room in there for a glazing room. So you're actually up to code and be able to do all those things safely and be healthy while doing it. That connection now with this building, by making it have the L shape, we create this lovely courtyard. And so the meeting room is going to be able to open up indoors, outdoors. I could see a health and fitness, a yoga class moving out into the gather space, right? Just that 1 + 1 = 3 when we're able to do those indoor outdoor connections are really an opportunity as we look at this plan. And then one of the things we are suggesting, just to maximize the functionality in the program space, is that maybe even external circulation to some of these spaces with independent access with card key or something like that, so they can be used, individually by a program that's going on at 6 a.m. They just unlock the door with the card key access, go and do the yoga class, the jazzercise class, whatever it is. And when they walk away, it's locked up and secure until it's open at 8 a.m.
You. And then in our final concept, concept C, no order intended. In this one, we do propose the largest building. It does have a second story option to it, which I'll let Dawn speak to once I walk through the site plan. Again, consistently maintaining the existing parking. It was not a high priority in our outreach efforts to add more parking. We are proposing another landing plaza, so an entry plaza. In this particular option, we're showing a little bit more tree canopy in this space, so it may feel a little more comfortable gathering, even though our weather is generally pretty temperate, but it can get hot in the summer, especially the last couple of weeks. This one does maintain a half basketball court, where our concept B does not maintain a basketball court. We propose the same entry node for the pool with the synergy with the park space. The reservable picnic in this option is tucked in under some of these existing trees. The playground is more proximity to the upper end of this pool space, and the lawn is tucked in the upper corner. I also want to mention that these three concepts are not three separate buckets. There is every opportunity to take what we like from one and mix it with another, so they are not necessarily mutually exclusive. However, there are some space constraints. So there are some where if we make the playground significantly larger, we may not be able to fit a basketball. But once Dawn speaks through the concept of the building on this one, the feedback we'd love to hear doesn't have to be distinct between the three concepts. I just wanted to throw that out there as we're soaking them into our brain. Okay. The largest building.
Going up to the 2-story building, so this layout, just in order to keep apples to apples, the first floor of this building is the same as option B. But what we've added to this is the 6,000 square foot library on the second floor. And so it does not take over the full floor plate of the first floor, so there's plenty of opportunities to step back the massing, create some outdoor roof terraces, outdoor patios that help the massing step back from the street and really respect kind of the character of the neighborhood. But then have lovely outdoor spaces as well, which is great. And this is really not designed in terms of the library, but really having it be a small branch library that probably has a little bit of everything, and then can utilize some of the recreation spaces on the first floor for some of the programs, the shared programming that could happen, or the story times or things like that. And so the, the co-location of recreation centers and libraries have huge benefits to the community in terms of their use and are real magnets to the community. And so this option is super exciting about that, but of course, with the added square footage, the vertical circulation, the elevator to make it completely ADA compliant, all of that would come with a larger price tag as well.
On this slide, we put all three together and we simplify by asking, what's your favorite? But you're also welcome to tell us, I love this about that. I don't love this about this one. I'm also happy to jump back into the concepts so we can see them larger. But for the time being, I can leave it on this slide. Just, full disclosure, our next slide is the thank you. So this is where we're headed. We would just love to have some opportunity to hear feedback, answer questions, so that we can really come back the next time with that preferred plan that captures kind of the best pieces of all of our ideas.
I'm just gonna, thank you so much, Casey, the team, Dawn, really appreciate it. Just a quick note on kind of process from here. Open for discussion to the Partner Act commissioners. There will be some time at the end for public comment to make sure that anyone here has an opportunity to speak as well, but want to open it up first to you if you have questions for the team.
I did have a question. So with the library concept, I know we went a few years ago when when it came through and we had the presentation about, new locations for the library, and we talked about the community center as a possible location. It sounded like that was kind of ruled out as something that was feasible, or, didn't make sense to put a library there. And I can't remember all the reasoning that were given for that. So I'm just curious, like, why we're looking at that now. And, when I was thinking about the community center, I kept thinking, like, not a library, but library adjacent services, like a computer room and a place for kids to study and all the things that, like, a library has, but it doesn't feel like we necessarily have enough space to actually, like, host a collection or something like that. So I'm just curious what has changed.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's a few things that are kind of emerging, and that, this is a master plan, right? As Craig said, we're kind of brainstorming here. I think when we did the library facilities kind of planning study, Tara Lindo, the co-location was identified as an option. At that time, though, the future of Northgate was a little less clear. So, I think that was honed in on as kind of the most immediate sensible option, because we were basically in a mall with a lot of open space, and the proposal was expand and get more retail space in the mall. We now know that Northgate's moving forward as a development project, appears. There is included in their proposal, in their current proposal, an option for the city to continue to have a library there. However, it's also pretty clear that the library would be dependent upon a private developer for that lease. It's not city-owned property. So I think we're starting to see that, some of the trade-offs there, which might tip things in favor of looking at other options, of kind of revisiting that conversation. I think the other, as Dawn mentioned, the other thing is price tag. We have a funding source for that. I think in the next month or so, we'll know if there might be a funding source that could help support library infrastructure for the city.
I'm just taking it all in. All looks great. I think I'm like more leaning towards the BNC. I think the idea of the library is great, and just more infrastructure and square footage, just knowing like the key risk of what's happening in our community, and just having like more indoor spaces that are cool and just versatile. So I do think, like, as much as you can have buildings that are, safe and cold and nice, and I think, the library, it'd be nice to have a library outside of the Civic Center, in the area where most of the kids and families are, right? So
One other thing that gets, well, a couple of things that what you both have said triggers for me, you kind of mentioned like, it doesn't feel like enough space for a library. This proposal is actually more space than either our current Northgate or Pickleweed branch libraries. So, and at branch libraries, you do really focus on what that community wants in particular. So, I think as we've said, if this were to happen, there would be a much more in-depth planning process to really nail down what is going to be in this building. What kind of programming do we want to support? What are those bubbles actually gonna look like? So that, we get to some of that, and I think, Cicely, one of the things you said is kind of about safety. And currently, we don't really, the city doesn't really have property in North San Rafael for emergency response. The Terra Linda Community Center is really not sufficient. We're not able to hook up, generators. It's not large enough.
Or
It's-
past current codes.
Right, there's, the ADA
Schools,
accessibility.
But I mean, even just in general.
Right, but
you know,
from a city
yeah.
perspective, we are frequently kind of asked to set up shelter,
Cooling center.
cooling center, training center, all of that, and we really don't have a space in North San Rafael to do that. That's city owned. So that would definitely be part of the planning process.
Favorite would be concept C because it's big and huge. I'm having trouble kind of comparing. They're so different in terms of size of building, with huge.
So the
Sort of-
community center is 8,000 square feet, replacing the existing one in A for 10,000 square feet. We're able to grow the footprint a little bit, but open up the park, the street by relocating it to that L shape.
Mhm.
And then option C is just adding the 6,000 square feet on the second.
Right, yeah, yeah, so to me, it's a little apples to oranges, but the pieces that I personally love are the, on the exterior, the trees in the concept C's. It seemed like shade was a really huge piece of people's feedback, so I would hope there are other places to put trees, if not more shade structures, but trees are lovely. And then the half basketball court, I don't know where that fit into the community feedback, but it would seem to me like it's worth keeping. And on the interior, I do like that idea of places where people can go in. So there's a place on the outside called Gather. It would be really great if the lobby was also treated as a gather when it's raining or 100. It's where it's either maximized space wise or usage wise enough so that that is also a gather spot when it can't be outside. The big outdoor gather looks great, but it is often hot.
Yeah, and that's a real change from the current.
Yeah.
Facilities,
Mhm.
right? The trend in recreation planning is much more with what people typically would call hospitality, right? That community living room is the one.
Mhm. Yeah, and I can't tell how big it is from there. I
a
assume
good
it's pretty,
size.
yeah.
It's much, it can be a destination and support space for people to wait for their children in a program with their laptops. To stop in and, get some water as you're walking around, sit down for a minute. There definitely is enough space probably for 15 to 20 people.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
in different gathering nodes.
Yeah, I see people at Alboro, the lobby is really used in that way, and that's really. Do you guys have any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, I just a few thoughts. I mean, I love the courtyard. BNC is just such a great thing to have that community center and the park sort of become one thing with that. That's a really great concepts. I'm drawn toward the playground structure of B because currently, that node. In the current setup, I'm heavily involved in the aquatics program there, so kids go between the playground and the pool all the time. And that is like the number one, transit between that group of kids. So keeping those two situated near each other in such a way, where it's directly across from each other in that way, to the pool entrance would work really well.
Thank you. I think we are moving to in-person public comment. I believe the same sort of guidelines are in place as for the open public expression, 3 minutes-ish. Go ahead. Is that
Sarah
okay?
Gasson Huey, I'm a member of the ceramics program and also volunteer with the program. I want to give my apologies, Nadia Tarzai Sakardi, gives her apologies because she could not be here tonight, she's teaching, she's a very dedicated teacher. Didn't want to cancel the class to be here, so she asked me to come. Is it possible for me to speak a little bit about the program rather than the options? Okay, so I don't know whether any of you know much about the ceramics program. You do. And so you know it's very well supported by the community. One of the things that is not known so much is just the range of people that come. So I want to say a little bit about that. It's from very young children, 8 years upwards, to very senior people. We've had 90-year-olds. But also I want to speak specifically about the somewhat what I think is a little bit unique about our program. We give back a lot to the community. Have any of you been to our exhibitions? Yeah. So you get a sense of the standard of work. We have a regular Falkirk exhibition here in the city, which you will know about. Maybe less well known is the fact that every year we are invited to go to the statewide conference at Davis, which is the ceramics conference for the state for the year. And we're one of only 3 ceramic communities that are invited statewide. And we carry the banner of Terra Mendana San Rafael to this conference where there are emerging artists for the entire weekend statewide. It's a very great honor to be there. The rest of the people that exhibit are come from university programs or art colleges. Let's say we're one of 3 people. You probably know that our ceramics program is award-winning. It has won awards annually over the last 6 years or so since the Nadia took over the directorship program. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I also would like to extend an invitation to the commissioners to come to the visual and ceramics art room and to see us in action, because the room is packed. It is every square inch is used up in that room. It's extremely well organized. A ceramics room is essentially like a chemistry lab. There are a lot of very expensive pieces of equipment and very expensive glazes in the room, so it's a very particular space. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them about the program. Please do consider an open invitation. Thank you for your time.
We actually did, Craig took us on a tour, what was that, last year and a half ago or something? So we all got there. Some commissioners got to go in and get a tour of the room. We have seen
Feel free to come and put your hands in the clay.
it.
It's very
We didn't do that. Are you wanting to say something? No, okay. Becky, do we have anyone online?
I think we're still okay, even if there are folks online. We are not accepting public comment online.
Oh, right, I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's, but I would just say if there are any individuals online or anyone who watches this video after we publish it to YouTube that does have feedback, I think the best way to get feedback is probably to take the survey. We're gonna extend that survey and leave that open through next week. And I think that's probably the best way to get feedback. So definitely still an opportunity to spread the word, make sure people know they can still share their ideas. Outside of that, if people wanted to email our recreation at cityofsanrafael.org, they could still do that after the survey, and we'll continue to take feedback and try to improve it.
Then it looks like we're looking for a motion to receive the plan update.
No, I don't think
No.
any motion is actually required since this is a special presentation.
Okay, then that's it on this agenda item. We'll move on.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, great.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Gates team. You're welcome to stay, but you can go if you want.
Okay. Looks like we have the Maroon Master Gardeners annual report.
That's me. And I'm gonna, Debbie, Patty, I think I'll turn it over to you for introductions, and when we get to presentation, I'm happy to just pass controls down or wherever works best for everybody.
Sway to you when it's ready to move.
That works too, yeah.
I'm Patty McCully. I oversee Falkirk and the community gardens, and I work with the master gardeners. And this is Peter North. He's one of the awesome master gardeners up at Falkirk on a regular basis, every Monday morning, shifting around garbage cans and cleaning things up, as well as the tomato grow and maintaining the greenhouse, and we're lucky to have him. So Peter's prepared a presentation for you, so take it away, Peter.
Okay. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, basically because there's some photographs that I wanted to share with you. I've been a master gardener since 2015, and I started volunteering at the Falkirk Demonstration Gardens in 2015. So it's a little scary. I'm into year number 10 now, working in those gardens. But it is a real delight, and the best part about it is having people come into the gardens and enjoy them. Say, I got married here 20 years ago, and to learn things. And so we really appreciate the opportunity to maintain these gardens and educate the public. So with that, just a little bit of background, the Master Gardener organization, statewide, it's actually nationwide. We fall under the University of California domain, the Agricultural Natural Resources Division. And, our basic remit is to educate the public about good gardening practices. And it's fact-based. It's not what your grandmother told you. It's based on scientific research. We have about 300 members in the Marin County, which consistently makes us one of the 3 largest master gardener organizations in California. And we are, with all of those talents, we're one of the leading organizations in developing concepts that are shared with other counties. In terms of the demonstration gardens, we have about 15 to 20 people who regularly come to the gardens. Monday morning is our big powwow day. You usually see most of us there during the morning, but there are people coming throughout the week. In total, we pretty consistently put in about 2,000 volunteer hours working in the gardens. So you can really view us as a full-time equivalent employee that you don't have to pay for us. Okay. The history, we've been actively involved with the Falkirk Cultural Center since 2008. And basically what we've done is we've developed a series of gardens there. There's currently 8 gardens. They're all thematic, but what they all have in common is, one, it's plants that do well in a Mediterranean climate that we have here. And 2 is it reinforces good practices, water-wise practices, plant selection, things of this nature. We rely very heavily on signage in the gardens so that you don't need to come in and take a tour. You can just walk around, read the signs, and hopefully pick up on the key points that we want to share with people. And this is something that we update periodically. And then since 2012, we have been also responsible for maintaining the greenhouse, which is 97 years old now. In a moment of weakness, 3 years ago, I agreed to take on responsibility in this manner. So in addition to 1 day a week working in the garden, I'm also there every week working in the greenhouse. So, and my objective is for it to still be standing when I'm not. So, okay. So I wanted to share with you a couple of pictures to give you a sense of what the Master Gardeners have done at Falkirk. The pictures on the left are going to be what was there when we started. And the pictures on the right are what's there today. Just really a dramatic change in developing the gardens. An odd little thing that struck me when I took this picture on the right, last week, was that there's still a little white car up there in the driveway by the house, and they seem to roost there. But this is the succulent garden, which is, one of the favorites in public. And it's pretty impressive. We've received donations from, some pretty avid succulent collectors, so we have some very unusual plants there. And this also serves as a source for us to take cuttings and pups for our annual succulent sale that we hold in the spring. I'll talk about that a bit more later. Next is the native plants garden. Once again, you can see we started with just, and this is after all the weeds and garbage were taken out. There wasn't a whole lot there. We put in a series of walkways, and then we just developed all of these gardens. We actually have 2 native plant gardens now. We introduced another one 2 years ago that only has plants that are endemic to the Bay Area. Once again, just trying to raise people's consciousness that, buying a plant that does well down in Baja may not necessarily work in your garden if you live in Mill Valley. And then the third one is the Mediterranean. Succulent and the Mediterranean were the first 2 gardens that we put in. And as you can see, they've become quite mature over time. Okay, we can move on then. What do we do? Well, obviously the main function that we have there is to maintain the gardens, which is, it takes 15 to 20 people on a part-time basis to do that. And the signage evolves over time. They unfortunately don't last very long. So we have to continually update those. And also we're bringing new concepts forward. Our latest is what we call earth-friendly gardening, where we are looking to integrate the various types of advice we give into a cohesive program. As I mentioned, since 2012, we're in the garden. That is not open to the public. We used the greenhouse for 3 grows, basically starting in October. We do a pollinator plant grow over the winter. And then in the spring, we do our annual tomato grow. And then after that, we do our succulent grow. So from October through May, we're growing things in the greenhouse. Then in June through September, I mean, they're sweating, repairing the roof leaks, things like that. We've also do quarterly in-person workshops, various topics. The most popular, which we do every January, is rose pruning. People love to come and learn how to do it and be told you can't kill it, just chop away. But a variety of topics, pruning, plant selection, efficient watering techniques, and so on. And we typically get about 20 people for each of these workshops. And then obviously the plant sales. We actually do 2 of the sales, the pollinator and the succulent, we do in the parking lot right behind the greenhouse. So, okay, so we can go on. What do we do this year? Well, as I say, maintaining the gardens is like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. It's never done. We did expand our volunteer base. We brought in a lot of new people, especially recent graduates into our program this year. And I think it's a very healthy thing. In fact, we brought 2 people into the garden where I volunteer, the Habitat Garden, and we put them in charge. And they were going, well, wait a minute, we're newbies. And I said, this is how you learn. And also, though, it's fresh thinking. They're doing things that I'm not thinking of. I'm set in my ways after 10 years. And it's really good to see them learning and to see them doing. In terms of our workshops, COVID obviously really limited our public interaction, and we shifted basically to doing a lot of videos that are on our YouTube channel. And we gradually have moved back now to doing the in-person workshops, which we actually find are more satisfying for us to do. It's a chance to interact with people. But we do have a couple of videos just specific to Falkirk you know, to get people's attention and get them to come and see it. And then finally, we hosted a Giving Day volunteer project with the Vanguard Properties Group. Had about 30 of their employees come for the day, and we put them to work and made a number of capital improvements, put in some new fencing, some sidewalks, spread several cubic yards of mulch and compost all over the place, and yeah, the gardens really benefited from that. Finally, I think one more. Oh, I gather there was some interest in our financials. We spend in excess of $5,000 a year maintaining the gardens. And basically the source of funding for that comes from our succulent sale. Most of our net income from that sale comes right back into Falkirk. The other two sales, the pollinator and the tomato sales, are also very important to us because we engage in a lot of community outreach activities that cost us money and we don't charge for them. And so those three sales that are driven by our ability to use the greenhouse probably account for about 75% of our net income. So this is a critical aspect of our operations. And we are very grateful that we have the opportunity to use this wonderful old building because it's put to good use. And I'm not sure if I do have one more. I'd say the relationship that we have with Patty and the Cultural Center is a positive one. We get along quite well. Every once in a while, she asks us to do something we don't want to, but it makes sense. And we go, okay, yeah, understood. And so, you know, we can work together well. We're trying to stay vigorous, innovative. As I said, we're bringing in new people, looking for new ideas, new topics to cover. And some of it is even revitalizing some old ones, like we had a zero escape garden, which is you don't water it. And it not only didn't get watered, nobody was paying attention to it. When the newbies came in, she's taken it on. It was a gorgeous garden. So it's good. And you know, we're going to continue to try to innovate. Still, basic concept is demonstration gardens, but yeah, how can we improve on it? And as I say, we all enjoy it. It's a real privilege to be able to come and work in those areas. I think I'm done. Yes, conclusion. So, open to any questions you might have.
Thank you. You guys have questions, comments?
It's an amazing garden, but any succulents from the sales.
Thank you.
You probably see me behind the cash registers when you fork over the money.
I did also want to thank the Master Gardeners, have had a few of them come out to the Canal Community Garden and educate on pruning the fruit trees and some of the other plants out there. And the gardeners really appreciated it, and the work that they did, as well as the teaching, has been invaluable out there. So it's really great that they were able to do that for us.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so impressive, and I think, the city's lucky to have the Master Gardeners there, with that relationship with Falkirk, and thank you for maintaining that greenhouse.
It's a mutually
Especially-
beneficial relationship,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really impressive and super appreciative. I think
Good.
if anything, try to get the word out more about that it's there for people to just come and walk around and enjoy it.
Yeah, I was gonna say similarly, it strikes me after listening to your presentation and that woman representing the ceramics group, how lucky Santa Fe is to have such sort of vibrant Rex department. So good job, you guys. Good job to our staff, and the wonderful community members who are making it happen. So thank you for the report and for all that work. It is beautiful up there.
These partnerships and long
Yeah.
predate us.
Yeah.
So we can't take any credit for the amazing work.
And I just want to echo, I think you already mentioned it, but the 2,000 hours worth of volunteer work that goes into the gardens is hopefully a labor of mostly love. But it really is valuable that we
Yeah.
have, partnerships that are partners that are willing to put that kind of effort in to improve city-owned facilities. And, you know, we're at the second half of our agreement with the Master Gardeners in a term that would expire in 2027. But I think we'd be excited when we get to that point to sit down and hopefully continue that partnership relationship.
So if you guys wanna take on any others, so you probably.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Well, a Brittany Guild will come out and teach you how to maintain things. Okay, well, in that case, I'm gonna take my wife and we're gonna go to a San Rafael restaurant and celebrate.
Economic development.
Yeah, there we go, yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Did you want us to? Send the report? Okay, let's do it. For a motion to accept the, okay,
Second.
all right, Becky?
All right, Commissioner Emerson.
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Yes.
And Commissioner Pasternak.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Just settling down.
It's okay. Project and maintenance, biannual report.
Provide some exciting updates from DPW.
Wonderful.
It's gonna get you set up here. I think I had it open. I didn't. Maybe not. There it is. I'll share screen and then I'll just let you drive. So, Joanna, I'll let you introduce yourself here.
Oh, thanks. Full screen. There we go.
Does that work okay?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, hi, I'm Joanna, Assistant Public Works Director. And I'm here to provide an update on the projects and maintenance that we've done. From April 2024 to spring this year until September 2024. I might have to ask for some help on, adding on to some of the updates, but I'll do my best. So exciting shoreline restroom, we finally completed it. We've worked with a lot of different utilities. Yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah. It's been on our
on the other
report
list, yeah.
for a while. Yeah, so we're really excited. It's finally complete. There was a lot of work with different utility agencies. The last hurdle we had was really working with PG&E just to make sure we energize and provide power to the restroom, and we finally got across that finish line. So now it's fully opened, and our maintenance team also helped reduce some of the landscaping, clean it up a little bit, so it's ready. Yeah. And then Albert Park Field also been on our list for a little while. This kind of went. There were many iterations for the design, and I think finally city staff and our consultants, we did a walk and we kind of found a good medium. And, our main focus was really to catch the foul balls that kind of go towards like the 88 ramp and the restrooms that kind of the park cars. So we were able to start and complete this actually, I think in about like a month, once we got the contractor on board, and that was really exciting. And then active projects, pickleweed. So we brought on a contractor and construction manager. I think it was in September sometime. And we've started putting up some construction fencing. One of the main things that we're still working with some of our other local agencies and partners is to get these kind of finalized. And we're anticipating that this month. So that's kind of what we're waiting for before we get started on some of the more heavy construction work. And also purchasing the restroom, which has the longest lead time and has the most impact on our schedule. Really exciting. We did have a groundbreaking event. I think it might have been 2 weeks ago.
September 27th.
Okay, yeah, September 27th. Oh, here we go. September 27th, where, we had Mayor Kate, Councilmember Galati and Kurtz, and also our city manager attend. And I think everyone was really excited to look at the project and see what it's gonna look like by next year. Peacock Gap Playground renovation, we're towards finalizing our plans and construction documents. We're hoping that we're gonna start advertising this for construction this month. So hopefully next time when I come back, we'll be able to give an update on who we brought on and maybe some. And then we also did some outreach events that finishing. What part? We've been working with Gates and Associate on like, some in-from playground equipment that we can put in, some improvements, really until the permit improvements come in based on, you know, the Parks and Rec plan recommendation. And right now we're soliciting quotes from 3 contractors and are still kind of waiting to hear back on that. There's also some value engineering that we're kind of working on because it came in a little bit higher, or at least our engineers estimate came in higher than what we had budgeted. For maintenance, our operations team have been partnering with Library and Rec to put in some benches throughout the city, and then there's placards on them to kind of talk about the donating parties. And here's pictures of that here.
You have a chance, I'll just add, these are at Peacock Gap Park. So if you have a chance to go out there and see them, they look really wonderful.
And then our part, our team were doing some maintenance in the outbound areas, and it really helps with the maintenance, any mowing, and as you can see in the photos, it looks good.
I wanna just say one thing here
Yeah.
because the field maintenance has been a challenge in the past. And this year, across the board, all user groups have really been super complimentary of our parks team and all the work they put in to help our product get. We got a lot of positive feedback about the field this year. Want to say the parks team,
Good work.
their work has been very appreciated by our users there.
And then, you know, just kind of update on our regular maintenance, Monday through Fridays, our parks team, in addition to all the field and everything, there's restrooms, litter, hardscape, and pruning that we do throughout the city. And just a reminder, as we are in the rainy season, a lot of our park staff is gonna be transferring over to our streets team to help clean up before the. That concludes. There's also a photo. Yeah, I wanted to show this. Work in action. Anything else that?
We have some updates to your parks team.
Oh, yes, yes, we also have our new parks, oh, actually, that's the official title, manager or?
Are you about
Superintendent?
Aaron or?
Oh, it's talking about Jorge.
But Aaron as well.
Oh, yeah, Aaron Tubbs, our prior parks manager, is now our superintendent. So he kind of, yeah. So
It was a new position.
Okay,
Yeah, we kind of a higher level position to help support park maintenance and
Yeah.
operation.
And more stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and then he was replaced and he was, I think, his maintenance park supervisor. Yeah. I mean, yeah, also promotional.
Yeah. Very exciting.
And I just wanted to say thanks. I know we already said it, but thanks to the Parks team, to DPW for pushing all these projects through. This is, you know, we went through those pretty quickly, but there's a pretty big scope of work represented in that update that I think we've been coming and getting this quarterly, biannually at this point. So, you know, 6 months worth of work there, a lot coming down the pipeline as well with Peacock Gap, with Boyd Park, hopefully getting into construction early 2025. So kudos to the DPW team for juggling that among all of the other projects going on. So, thank you.
Yeah. All right, any questions?
Just a question about the Wood Park cost difference and what was driving that up.
So I think, and Craig, you can jump in, originally, so I think we're realizing there's some ADA improvements that we need to make. Like when we're bringing in new fiber, there's gonna be a ramp included in that. And so, you know, you budget a project at a certain rate, and it's not significantly higher. I think Measure A will be able to absorb it. You know, I think we're talking, you know, 10 to 20,000 higher, not like much, but you know, we want to do our due diligence, make sure we're getting the best value that we can, and yeah, and money that we don't use there, we can use somewhere else, so, yeah, I don't think at this point it's not like putting the project in jeopardy, but. I'm just on.
And we're also getting multiple bids too, so. Hopefully I think it's impressive. It's good to see progress on all of these things that we're talking about for so long, so that's really exciting. Job.
All right, thank you. I think we will look for a motion to accept the report.
Emotions.
All right.
Second.
And then we'll do a
Thank
vote.
you.
Thank you.
And I did hear a motion from Commissioner Emerson and a second from Commissioner Pasternak. Is that correct? Okay. All right, Commissioner Emerson. Commissioner Gutierrez. And Commissioner Pasternak.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion approved.
All right, next item, we have, looks like an update or a on the 2025 Pacifics agreement.
Yeah, I'll be taking this one, but Catherine, feel free to jump in. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation for this. There's a staff report. I'm gonna pull up some notes. I'm happy to pull that report up if you did want to take a look at it, but we wanted to share with you kind of an update on our goals to continue to work with Pacifics for 2025. So I want to share a little bit of background. You're probably familiar, I know most of you are familiar with the Pacifics, but the Pacifics is a independent minor league baseball team that plays for the Pecos League. And they've been using Albert Field for a little over a dozen years. I think 2012 is when we first entered into an agreement with the Pacifics to use Albert Field. And we structured that agreement in a variety of different ways. Initially, when the Pacifics proposed use of the field, we looked at the potential impacts to the facility, to the field itself, to the exclusive use that they were requesting, and realized that it could have a significant impact. So we entered into an agreement with them that really laid out the terms of their use of the facility. I think at that point in time, you know, they some of their games, they expected maybe as many as 700 people, which would be kind of the max capacity of that facility. You can imagine with traffic, parking, noise, all those things that was a big impact. And so we've had agreements with the Pacifics off and on for a variety of years. Of that first couple of years of term, I think they did see large impacts. I think over time impacts were reduced. And as we got closer to 2019, kind of a lesser impact on the facility. Instead of upwards of 700 people at the games, the Pacifics were drawing on average maybe 100, 125 people at those games. And that's very manageable for the facility that we have. At that time, the city decided to take a different track and use our standard.
So at that time, the team was sold. So
But
the,
also that,
yeah,
yeah.
so the agreement with the agreement was with the former owners, so then that agreement kind of became void. And they were, yeah.
Yeah, so a couple different changes of ownership during that time period, which also contributed to, I think, the way the city viewed the nature of those agreements. So 2019, we began using our standard facility rental agreement for the field with the Pacifics, which is the same agreement that we use for all the other user groups of the field. And since then, that agreement has worked fairly well, but we know there's a few key things that we'd like to address moving forward that aren't really covered as well as we'd like in our current agreement. And what we're proposing is that we enter into a 1-year agreement with the Pacifics to try to help address some of those potential issues or concerns. And the things that we're really focused on are prioritization of field allocation is one. Right now, the Pacifics are classified as one of the lowest priority user groups when we think about how we allocate the field, and that's because they're listed as a non-resident commercial user group. And while that is true, the vast majority of attendees at the games are San Rafael residents. And we think there's kind of a disconnect there in how we view prioritization of use. we've been able to work through that the last few years. We think that, we've come up with a really amicable way of approaching that with allocating use that they're interested in, as well as all of our other local community groups. So we don't see that this agreement would significantly change the way we allocate the field. But we would like to acknowledge that we think that there's some real value to the community in the programming that they provide. And that the reality is that residents are benefiting from this as a community event. So we're looking at, adopting an agreement that will help address that. Other things we're looking at are concession stand operations. There's been some lack of clarity on the ownership of the current concession stand. It does belong to the Pacifics. It is theirs. We want to clarify that. Making sure really clear on field prep and access times, so that we're all on the same page about who's responsible for what. You saw the images, the field, the parks have done a great, parks team has done a great job of maintaining the field this year. The Pacifics have expressed that they're really happy with how the field has looked, how it's played, safety of the field. We want to continue that and just make sure we're really clear on what would we allow them to do? Can we allow them to do to help with preparation of the field? And when does that happen? Make sure that's really clear. I also want to clarify stadium and locker room use and storage. Right now, there are a couple of small structures out there on the field that were initially installed to support the Pacifics. They're at end of life, they're in rough shape, they become kind of an attractive nuisance and a safety concern. We're recommending we get rid of them and then allow the Pacifics to continue to use the stadium and the locker rooms for storage. We think that's a better solution. They do too. And so we think this agreement will help clarify that. And we're also interested in trying to find ways to cross promote and collaborate to support the Pacifics. And some ways we've considered are really helping support their community camps, their clinics, their promotions and advertising. And this agreement would give us the opportunity to do that. We want to be really internally consistent with how we promote outside user groups and nonprofits. We are approached all the time from groups that want to get into our activity guide or for us to send an email out to our e-blast. And so we typically wouldn't promote the Pacifics, but this agreement would allow us to do that. And again, I think that really ties in with how we view this as being a really positive community event that people can attend. So we want to help support that. So, there's a few other things, that I think this was coming up that I would view as really minor. This would not result in a significant fiscal impact. We would continue to charge the same fees that we would charge to a non-resident commercial group, which are the same fees they've been charged in the past. And so we don't expect this would not result in any subsidy to the Pacifics. We would continue to charge for similar fees. So yeah, we wanted to bring this to you to get your feedback on that proposal. Make sure you had an opportunity to chime in and incorporate any thoughts that you had into the agreement as we move forward. Anything else you want to add to that? Okay.
Questions, comments from our commissioners?
Sounds like you all have thought it through, and have a good plan. Makes sense.
Do you expect any, the prioritization of use? Who does that negatively impact if it positively impacts them?
So I think
And maybe it's not a clear.
yeah,
positive.
I think like, for example, this past year, I think there were probably 2 or 3 days where there were kind of, some other group wanted it at the same time as the Pacifics. And what we did was we reached out to both groups that, hey, these are the conflicting dates. What can we do? And the Pacifics said, oh, we'll do away things. And and that we would continue to pursue that same type of approach. I think at the moment, our big user groups are Little League, Pacifics, Run Academy. And really the Pacific season starts at the very end of when Little League and Run Academy are ending. So there might be a few issues there we'll want to work out with the groups. But what this does protect the Pacifics against is additional groups coming in that would be at a higher level priority and really maybe having more conflicts.
I just add that too. I think the city, we will continue to have the first right of review, right? It is really up to us to maybe help facilitate and make sure that, you know, the specifics can come in and request just a ton of dates that are creating conflicts. We could look at that and work through. So this would not just give them first dibs exclusive.
Yeah, just sounds great. I'm really excited to hear that we're, fully supporting them as a city. I think it's a great resource, a great benefit. Yeah, I think so. Why 1 year? Just, you know, go.
Yeah, I think, you know, we would have the option to extend. I think if it goes well and everyone agrees we'd like to continue, we'd be very open to that moving forward. But we felt like 1 year term to get this started makes sense.
At the moment, it's all, you know, all of our rental contracts are on a 1 year. You kind of do it season by season, so it aligns with that.
And the city gets pretty good revenue from the Pacifics, or is it?
Yeah, I think approximately.
Like, is it a lot in
Approximately
terms of-
$20,000 in revenue to the city last year. I think we would expect a similar amount of revenue, give or take, depending on the total number of hours that they rent, the total number of games they have, whether they go into the playoffs or not. You know, some of those factors will impact things, but generally speaking, that's good.
I don't. Are we? I don't know if we need to vote on that, right? It's not like a report.
This is a receive the report.
All right, let's do it.
I vote to receive, I motion.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez. And Commissioner Pasternak.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion approved.
All right, team, we're doing really good here. I think we're on our last agenda item, so I'll let you announce that. Actually, I'm taking over your job. There we go. Sorry.
Sorry, I just checked out there. All right, agenda, 3D, I think, appointment of representative to the Public Art Review Board, and I think we postponed this from last. So it's time. This is one. And remind me what the, how many times a year they meet?
They've got a whole presentation.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I was gonna pull up the report
Yeah.
because I did want to make sure that I pointed out a couple of things. And I saved it. I might have accidentally closed it. So I'm just gonna, I'll read it off to you, but if you want to see it on the screen, I can pull it up. So the Public Art Review Board. This would be with the recommendation is that you nominate and appoint a rep to the review board for a 2-year term. This board meets quarterly, and as of right now, they're scheduled to meet January, April, July, and October. They actually just met last night. And the current rep is Commissioner Sandoval, who was there last. He's unable to be here tonight, so I actually asked him before the meeting if he'd be willing to continue in that role. He said he'd love to. He said he really enjoys his role on the Public Art Review Board. So just want to share that with you as you're considering. So this is an advisory body. Their primary responsibility is to oversee the city's public art review process. And right now they're tasked with reviewing any public art proposals that we receive on public city managed property. I'll give you an example of a couple of projects that they've reviewed. There's the new mural going up on the Borough Community Center that's being painted right now. So I was gonna share that in the staff update. You're getting the update now that if you get a chance, you want to see it in process, this is a great opportunity to see that be painted. That'll be done in early November. That board was one of the initial groups that got to see that, get some feedback on that before it went to city council for final approval. Last night, Patty and Debbie and I were all here sitting in the same room. We're reviewing proposals for Falkirk art exhibits for the 2025 schedule. We received 18 proposals. And we have 4 exhibit spaces with a total of up to 12 artists that could be allocated space. So I actually thought it was a very relaxing meeting where we turned the lights down, we pulled up all the art exhibits and got to scroll through some really cool art. And it was really fun to be able to see the board member. So I think it's kind of a unique role in the city to be that rep. So again, this would be a 2-year term. This would start at our January meeting and begin January 2025 and run for 2 years. I think the only other thing I would add, I do know that for Park and Rec Commission, I believe Commissioner Sandoval is eligible for reappointment to the Park and Rec Commission. We're scheduling interviews for that role, I believe, on November 4th. So that doesn't really impact this decision, but I just wanted to note that if he were reappointed as the rep, and if for whatever reason anything changed, we'd probably just come back around and do another. And I think that is it. There, again, yeah, the staff report kind of goes over a little more into detail of the rules and getting questions.
Well, I would be happy to nominate Commissioner Sandoval if he's still interested, and unless either of you two were. Jump in, okay.
Pickleweed Advisory Board.
You were, yeah. Mhm.
Right, well, not.
Great. Well, then I'll nominate Commissioner Sandoval. Is that how that works? Okay. Great. Thank you. We vote then.
Slow on the unmute button here. All right, and so for Commissioner Sandoval, we're gonna go Commissioner Emerson. Oh, wait, do we need a second on that? I'm sorry, everyone.
I know, I think I nominated you second,
second.
right? Yeah.
You did, okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner Emerson. Commissioner Gutierrez. And Commissioner Pasternak.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3, staff report.
Well, I'll kick us off and then I'll again turn it over if anyone else here has anything that I missed. But we already talked about the Pickleweed Park enhancement groundbreaking. I just wanted to acknowledge that again. Really exciting project. We hope that that project will be wrapped up before summer 2025. So real excited for that. We'll keep you posted. We had a great movie in the park series this year. We had 4 movies. Started at Pickleweed, Sun Valley Park, Terra Linda Park, and at Victor Jones. We just wrapped up on Friday with ET. I heard it was really fun. Kids are running around with flashlights and globes, and it's had a really great. So I just want to thank all the city department staff that came out. We did outreach before the movies where we had DPW got a cotton candy machine, and the fire department had popcorn, and PD was there, with city manager's office, folks from all different departments, including library and rec. And so it was a really fun series of events. Good turnout. I think we had several hundred people at each of those movies. It's pretty cool. We have our upcoming treat walk here on October 25th from 4 to 6 p.m. This is the first ever treat walk that we are hosting at the community center. So we'll have it's free. There's treats, games, lots of fun, pumpkins, opportunity for kids to, to come out and dress up. Yeah, this have some fun. So encourage everyone to pass that around. I'll pass that in for a long. Dia de los Muertos is coming up pretty quickly. It is Saturday, November 2nd. The car procession is this Saturday, October 19th. And as part of the celebrations, if you walk out in the lobby, you'll see one of the altars for Dia de los Muertos is actually in the lobby here, window here. So it's really beautiful. I encourage you to take a look and get involved in all of the festivities for Dia de los Muertos. Our pool is open still for October. So Debbie's here. I know our pool schedule, I know it's well attended again this season. We had shared an update that we were adopting permanent fees and the fee schedule, which went through beginning October 1st. And so I wanted to share that we are up and running. So, Debbie, anything to add to that?
Nope, November 22nd. That's the date.
I mentioned a couple things about public art, but just as a reminder, the public art exhibit is currently up and running September 13th through October 25th, so through next week. Last year, the Public Art Review Board approved our exhibit schedule, and so we have 3 different artists that are exhibiting up there right now. I encourage you to take a look. Mentioned the new mural at Oro. There's also several other murals going up around town right now. So the city's really been looking at how we are involved in public art on private property and what our review process is. And if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer those. But long story short, there's new murals at Canal Alliance.
Yeah, the
At
new
their new
building.
You may
I know,
see
I've seen it.
those. There's
Yeah.
2 new murals that were in part funded by the Downtown Sangerville Art District. They received California Art Council grants that they're using to fund those. Artworks downtown, proposed a new mural on the exterior of their buildings. There's some downtown storefront activation projects happening right now. So we're really excited that there's new art going on. The last thing I just wanted to share, today was a great shakeout, 35th anniversary of Loma Prieta earthquake. I know a lot of our city staff were involved in that, so just a good reminder with red flag conditions this weekend to practice emergency preparedness, get your bill kit ready to go. On that note, our staff on October 11th did emergency shelter training, so we had around 30 staff. California Department of Social Services came to support. The American Red Cross were going to be there, but they were deployed to Florida and North Carolina at that point in time. But a good reminder, it's that time of year to make sure we're on.
Did we also want to announce our newest hire?
That's what, oh, thank you for the reminder. Yeah, we were talking about the park staff. We gotta make sure we acknowledge our own team here. So I think all of you have met at one point or another, Christina Farhang. Christina was most recently, well, not most recently, but about a year ago, she was program coordinator for Falkirk in the community gardens. And she took an opportunity for about a year to live in Spain. She has returned recently. And coincidentally, we had a vacancy at Terralinda Community Center for the program coordinator role that she applied for. And we're really excited about that because she was by far the best candidate. We're happy to welcome her back as the program coordinator again. Her first day was yesterday, so she'll be helping to really advise on that enhancement plan, to run the programs there, and yeah, welcome to Christina. Thank you for the day. What else did I miss? Did I miss anything else?
Was gonna provide just a few library
Yeah.
updates. So you all maybe have noticed the downtown library is closed. The construction is starting and we have a new temporary pop-up location on 4th Street. If you haven't been there yet, you should check it out. We're just getting really positive feedback from the community.
4th Street?
The old beauty expo?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so across the
Vacant
street,
space.
yeah, big vacant space.
Yeah.
Right across the street from Bank of America, high ceilings, wood walls, big
Yeah.
windows, good light.
Cool spot.
Don't go there when it's really hot, because the HVAC system isn't great. We got a really good deal on the facility, because the property owner's plan is to demo and do a large scale development there, so.
Yeah.
The property is, hasn't had anybody in there for a while, but the staff did such a phenomenal job. Really creating a welcoming, vibrant space. So, and the public art that's from the youth and arts is on the window, really just, it's a great space. The team did a really great job. So we're still on track for construction to kind of be through spring. So we'll be down there probably March, April, May sometime. We'll be back. The other big library news, which maybe we can roll into commissioner reports, because Andre's there. We presented the Pickleweed Branch remodel project to the library board and the Pickleweed Advisory Committee. So that's a project that has the same funding source as the downtown library. For the building, the state library had a big infrastructure grant program called Building Forward, which we were successful for both projects. And the one at the Pickleweed Branch Library is really looking at how to just redesign the interior space there. The layout there is not efficient. I think we've also seen that kind of computer lab, the need for computer space is really diminished. And the need for children's space and the space that serves families is really kind of the primary need there at the moment. So we presented the plans to the library board and the Pickleweed Advisory Committee. It's really exciting. If you I know I sent them to Ariel, and well, now I'm basing them into the fun. So anyways, they are, I can send them to you. We have some versions online. There's some posters are also up in the Pickleweed library, but we're in design development for that. I'm gonna move to doing construction documents. We're shooting for like a late summer construction start on that So it doesn't overlap with the downtown closure, and also it doesn't overlap with the park side.
Yeah.
So we can- Okay, that
Yeah,
and
good
the
stuff.
other.
Right.
So-
I don't
so,
know,
yeah,
it's a
so-
final agenda item.
So I was there for that presentation and it was amazing. Much like the discussion we had about the Charlinda Community Center and the park piece. They're talking about putting a window at the back
Mhm,
of the
yes.
library, which really ties things together. I think that'll be really amazing. And then that youth room is amazing. And there's a built-in aspect of public art in that corner of that space with the place where we can have a public artist create a piece for that. That's really amazing. So, and better staff space, but I think that's also been an issue there.
Yeah, storage, just sports.
Well, I think that's it then. I'll close by saying, speaking of the great shakeout, I was in this building 35 years ago today when the earthquake happened. Full circle,
We need that story. What were you doing here?
practicing for a play. Like all the good children of Sun Valley do in October. Yeah. You know, art. The stage shook and I called for a ride home and they said, you're fine, just come home. I'm like, cool. Seems a little intense out here. From the payphone out front. Thank you. Here we are still. Doing good work. So thank you guys. And we're adjourning at 7:26. I don't know which clock to call. Thank you guys.